Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yekel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org.
Street art is a combination of all sorts of fun elements when you create art outside. It's public art, murals, chalk art on the sidewalk. It's fun when you can work within the public realm and people can watch your process. Chalk art is very ephemeral, not a very long lifespan. So Mother Nature tends to take it away whenever she's ready. And so whether it be rain or wind, people walking on it, cars driving on it. And so it's an art form that is both fun to see, but it's also, you have to be, conscious of the fact that it's not going to last very long. Found that people sometimes take it in a little bit more because they know it's going to be gone. And so they soak it in, they come back over and over again over the course of a weekend and take lots of pictures. Being a muralist, you get to create for a little bit longer. I mean, sometimes murals don't have a forever lifespan because the building might be torn down, or they might build something in front of it, or a new owner takes over. And so in all aspects of street art, there is a timeline to it. It's not like, 300 years from now, it's still going to be on the side of the wall. The Chalk Fest at Arbor Lakes is a street art celebration that has chalk artists from all over the world flying in here in Maple Grove. It's wonderful to see 3 whole blocks of a city street, be transformed into masterpieces over the course of a weekend. With Chalk Fest at Arbor Lakes here, I think one of the great things about it, as an art form, you don't get to see it up here in the northern part of the country as much as you see it in California and Florida. And so when you see festivals like this, it gives people the opportunity to really see what the rest of the world is creating with street art. Well, the process of creating chalk art is different from artist to artist, but most artists come up with a concept, whether it's recreating 2D, or if you do the 3D where it looks like you're falling into the sidewalk. You create your concept, your sketch, you find out how big of a space it is, you grid it out. You sketch it out before you put color, because once the chalk hits the pavement, you can't really move it around a whole lot. And then you start, filling it in and keeping it to where you don't walk on it. Because with chalk art, footprints definitely, get into the mix of it. So it's kind of fun because sometimes you'll see little ant trails of where people have worked and where they need to go. 3D street art is an amazing vantage point type of art, to where it's something that if you don't look at it from a specific vantage point, it sometimes doesn't make sense because of how distorted it is. It takes a lot of math, a lot of kind of science, figuring out how is this angle going to work, and a lot more concepting ahead of time. But when people see it and they find that spot and they take that picture, it's a huge wow moment. One of the aspects that I really love about being a muralist is the ability the last number of years to work in rural Minnesota and areas that are closer to where I grew up in southeastern North Dakota, and that's places like Worthington and Montevideo and New London, and being able to create really fun, murals that celebrate the community. None of them are the same, and so whenever you're in a town and working on a new project, you have so many different elements that go into it. The mural at the Minnesota's largest candy store was a project that was absolutely amazing. To be able to bring in 7 other street artists and muralists that I knew to be able to work on a 5,000 square foot mural was fantastic. So the concept for the candy store mural was one that I worked closely with the owners, Robert and Renee, and really wanted to make sure that parlayed their vision of what they wanted for that space. For the mural in Montevideo, that was another fun project because I got to kind of think of how their sister city in Montevideo would be created, and how that would kind of parallel with each space. And so the fact that it was in Jose Ortigas Plaza, and we wanted to create kind of a space that transformed into almost like walking into the sister city. And so with the arches at that space, we decided to create it as if you could walk right into Uruguay. Well, chalk art as a journey as an artist has been kind of insane in a way. It's been one of those things that I never imagined, as a child making a mess with chalk on the sidewalk, that it would eventually turn into a career. To be able to travel all over the world to make temporary pieces of art. Being stuck in a cubicle, I probably would have never experienced that. My first street painting was actually done here at Arbor Lakes. And this is where the first chalk festival that I started was. And so it's kind of a nice way to come back to where I began as an artist, 15 years ago in street art. Chalk art and street art definitely has given me a whole new family. It's one of those things that I never imagined, the group of artists that I would meet all over the globe. And that's one of the things that street art has completely changed my life, is just the base of family around the world.
Dance Barn Collective is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are based in Battle Lake, Minnesota, and we have a mission of bringing quality dance experiences to rural Minnesota, specifically in Otter Tail County.
Molly had moved back to Minnesota, and I had moved here newly, as in the Twin Cities, and we both wanted to do something that was in dance and had some impact on community and artists. I knew immediately that this idea would work because of just the people who live here.
We do all types of projects. We do artist residencies. We do a lot of community programming, whether it's community events or dance classes or performances that all involve community members of all ages and abilities.
The Dance Barn Festival is a week-long event that we host here in Battle Lake. We're able to invite people from different states and even sometimes different countries to come, and they spend a week-long pretty much getaway in Battle Lake, and they take class, they teach class, they get to create work and just spend time at the lake. And a lot of people who come are from cities like New York or Portland or Philly, so a lot of them have experienced the lake life for the first time.
The Dance Barn Festival was always an idea that I had had, or maybe just a wish that my two worlds could collide, that the professional dancers that I knew could also see the town that I love and where I'm from. And those two special things combined into becoming the Dance Barn Festival.
We love Battle Lake! Hop, 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 hop. Beep, beep, beep. Hello. Hi there. Oofta, oofta, oof.
My dance theater company is called Current Harbor, and we're based out of Brooklyn, New York. All of the work that we do involves dance, music, and historical storytelling. I came to Dance Barn last summer, and I was sent here by National Choreography Month, and that's how I met Molly and Ayumi. And one night we were just chatting and talked about how it would be really fun for my company to come to Minnesota in the off season, not in the summer, and work on a collaborative project together. We started talking about what would make the most sense for us to do here in Battle Lake with Dance Barn, and we landed on making a screen dance.
I had always wanted to work on a dance film together with Annalisa. This seemed like such a good opportunity to do a site-specific piece. The thread that we started with, and the thing that we sort of wrote at the top of the film treatment, was to tell a story about how dance can bring community together. And so we brought that idea to Molly and Ayumi, who were like, oh, well, we have a couple of options. One of them is like literally this totally unique and utterly perfect site-specific space.
The Kirkbride, which was formerly a mental hospital built in the 1800s, a site that is physically very beautiful, but then also within the context of the past, present, and future is very relevant to the community right now. So we thought it would be a really exciting opportunity to use that space and to engage the community in this kind of artistic endeavor collaboration. At the beginning of our residency with Dance Barn, the first night we were right here in the community center, and we had a hot dish competition, potluck, and it was a really wonderful way to introduce ourselves to the community and also to hear all of their stories about the Kirkbride. The film is called Chase the Flying Hours, and the genre of dance, when we started thinking about what type of dance would make sense to be in this film, I got really excited by researching and seeing the historical context of square dancing here in Minnesota. There's a very rich history of people square dancing, and that continues on. So I used that and used some traditional square dancing movements to inform the choreography.
There's many ways that you can tell a story with film that you cannot do on the stage. You can play with time and space and energy, and for me as an artist, screen dance has been a way to explore my voice in a different way, explore how I move in another way, and get to collaborate with different artists as well. I also think that screen dance can be more accessible, especially in a rural area. It's just a different medium, and it's interesting to explore.
I think sometimes as filmmakers or as performing artists, we think like, okay, well, you know, I can't have an artistic life if I'm not based in a major hub. But the experience of working with Dance Barn and working with Chris and working with all of the people who helped make this film possible, I just feel like art lives all over, and it can be made all over and be shared with and enjoyed by people of all ages, shapes, and sizes, and that's really, really wonderful.
Everett Black Thunder e Makiapi. Sasituan wakbetuan oyate e matahan. Damako taro. Wakia sapa teoshpa e matahan. My name is Everett Black Thunder. I come from Sisseton, Wapaton, Oyate. I'm from the Black Thunder family. I'm here to share about Hampape Chumpi. Hampape Chumpi Iwowa Harakekte. I'm going to speak of the game. Gitana Storwaye. I only know a little bit, but I'm going to share what I know and do the best I can. Wana Dakoria Umaspe. I'm considered a language learner right now. I'm learning the language back home at our college. So I'm going to do the best I can to say what I know in the language. Today we'll be playing what is known as the Lakota style hand game. So we'll be playing the style that they play out west of the river. Rosebud area, Rapid area, Pine Ridge, all that way is the style that we'll be playing today. From what I know of where the game comes from, my Tahanshi said that up in Montana, Fort Belknap, his grandpa told him that this game comes from a bundle. It's considered for us to play for healing. Up that way, there are Dakotas up there, and they had a feather. It's called the feather game, and you point with the feather. It's supposed to bring healing to the people for good times to spend with each other. We start out, you got a team. I'm on a team, you're on a team. And we have what's called the bones. One's marked, one's not. And we're gonna guess each other 4 times to determine who gets the kicker. There's 11 sticks, 5 and 5, and then the kicker. The kicker is considered the most important stick. Whoever guesses your opponent gets the kicker, and the other team picks what sticks. And then from there you start. You give up your bones, and then we hide. So we got two players hiding, and then you guys will have a guesser. The people who have the bones sing, and then you guys guess the bones, and you have to find the marked bone. And there's certain guessing signals that you do, like that. And then the only way you can score is when you're hiding. When you don't get found is when you score a point.
I'm Brielle Cook. I'm from Sisseton, South Dakota, and I'm 15. I've been playing hand games since I was like in 4th grade. I've won a couple competitions over the years, hand games. We took first at LNI, and then we took first at Black Hills Powwow. I like playing hand games because it just keeps me entertained, and it's just fun, and it brings a lot of people together. I hope other people can learn how to play hand games. It's pretty fun.
I feel like it's very important to know where things come from, to understand where things come from. A lot of our games and a lot of things that have come to our people were brought to us for a reason. And if you don't understand where something comes from, then you won't have that connection to it, and you won't know why you're doing what you're doing. What I've seen back home with the kids who picked up the game is that it created a sense of belonging, and it created a sense of being a part of something. And I know in our communities, there's kind of a lack of that. But this game, I've seen this game provide a sense of family, a sense of being a part of something that they really don't have. It's a way for them to cope, and it's a way for them to express themselves in a healthy and positive way.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org.